Hi, everybody. I am so glad you are joining us today. My name is Gina Whitehouse. I am the creator of YourMoreThanMom.com. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a successful business from home, and I'm a mom of two. And one of the awesome things we do as part of our website is we feature other moms who have businesses from home. So today we are talking to Wanda Thomas of MadCris Images. So Wanda, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your story and how you fell into the photography business?
Hi, Gina. How are you?
Great.
Thank you for having me today. I'm a photographer here in Philadelphia, and I got my start when my children were born. We didn't have a newborn photographer in the hospital, and my husband said, here's your gear. You're here for a couple of days. Take some pictures. So after having a C-section, the hospital requires you to walk around. So you don't, for blood clots and things like that, or to ward off blood clots. So I pushed my little babies with my camera strapped around my neck and pushed them down the hallway to this huge picture window and started photographing them, propped them up in little bassinets, and moms saw me and they said, hey, can you take my baby's picture? And I said, sure. And that's how MadCris Images started. I learned really quick after that, newborn photography wasn't for me. So I started networking and I grew the business from there.
Awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were doing before photography?
Before photography, I was a nonprofit housing and credit counselor here in Philadelphia. And I did that I was doing that for about 4 years before that.
Okay. And you said before, though, that you've been working since, you were 15.
Yes. I flung burgers and dropped French fries and I fried chicken. I did it all. My mom was a single mom, and in order for us to go to Catholic school, her requirement was, you help out with your tuition. So my dad paid child support, but it wasn't enough for 2 kids. So, with all the extracurricular activities, class rings, graduation, trips, my sister and I said, sure, okay. So we went and we got after school jobs. So as early as we could. So age 15, I started working, and I've been working ever since.
Awesome. So how did you go from working in the nonprofit housing realm to going into photography?
About 6 months after my son was born, I lost my job. And I sat for 45 minutes in front of my little house before I walked in to tell my husband, honey, I got fired. Mm-hmm. And not got fired, my position was eliminated, and due to government cutbacks. So when I came in, he said, get changed. We're going to go to the gym. You're going to work off some of this stress, and we'll figure it out later. So that's what we did. And after maybe a good half an hour on the treadmill and him in the pool, he said, go back to school, learn everything you can about photography, and start your own business. And I said, okay, well, I guess that's our plan. And my intention was to only go for a semester because I figured we had bills. We had just had my son, bought a car, bought a house. So maybe I'll just do a semester, learn some lighting, and, start looking for a job to help meet my husband where he needed to be financially for our responsibilities. And I never went back to work. I started my own business.
That's awesome. That's great because, as we know as stay-at-home moms, when you can start your own business, it gives you that flexibility to be there for your kids when they need you, which is awesome. So let's talk about so you don't do newborn photography anymore, right? No, from what we talked a little bit before this, and you said that you do a lot of photography for corporate businesses now, headshots for professionals. So how did you go from doing newborn to doing stuff for businesses and business owners?
The parents of the newborns, when I would see their LinkedIn profiles or Facebook profile pictures, just really it sucked. So I had told them, I said, call me. And I started networking as well, but that's kind of how it started. I said, you need a good headshot. So And it really was that easy. And they said, you know what, you're right. So I would take the headshot during the family portrait session or the newborn session. And I said, this is not the best image, but this is the best image I can create right now.
Right.
If you like it, give me a call and we will set something up. And, you know, that's really how it started.
That's great. And what I hear from what you just said is that, you know, you just kind of went above and beyond what you needed to even do, right? I mean, if someone comes to you for just a family shot, you didn't have to go and just take a headshot of them and say, here, like, here's something that you can use on your website for your business, you know. If you want something better, contact me, we can get something better. But I'm sure what you did there was great too. You know, so I think just through that gesture, you're showing people that you care. And like what we're going to talk about is the whole, you know, the know and the like and the trust. And as people get to know you and see that that you actually care about them and you're willing to give them value beyond what they even thought that you would do, you're building relationships with them. So why don't you talk a little bit, let's see, tell us about your typical day.
My typical day. Mondays are very structured for me, where after I drop the kids off, it's my Wanda time. I don't schedule anything, any work-related stuff. It's and I learned this very early on because I had a VA who I kept complaining to her. I said, Denise, I don't have any time to do anything. So she goes, what do you mean? I said, I don't have time to pay the bills. I don't know when I'm going to get laundry done. When am I going to go to the grocery store? Because my husband works a rotating shift with his company. So every other week he was away, and it was really hard for me to get things done. So Mondays, she put in my calendar from now until infinity, Wanda time. From right after I drop the kids off to 11 o'clock. So it's about 8:30 to 11 o'clock. It's Wanda time. I can sit back and watch Law and Order with a cup of coffee. I can pay the bills. I can do laundry. Whatever needed to get done, whatever I needed to get done, I got done. If I didn't have any household responsibilities, it was go back to sleep or take a nap. It was just my time to do whatever I wanted to do. And I love it when it shows up on my calendar and it blinks Wanda time. Yay! But every Monday I have that morning to do what I need to get done. And that's always that's always the first time where I look for doctor's appointments. If I need to schedule that, that's when it gets scheduled. Otherwise, the Tuesday to Friday, it's work. It's clients, it's editing, it's networking events, it's lunch dates with my husband. My husband doesn't get put into Wanda time. He does not. Lunch dates with Fred does not get put into that 8:30 to 11. Okay. He gets Tuesday to Friday.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know, sometimes we have to be a little selfish with our time, and like what we talked about before was that with Wanda time, it's great that it's Monday because, you know,
right after
Saturday and Sunday can be very, very busy because it's all family, all kids all day, all husband at home all day. You need Wanda time on Monday morning.
Yeah.
Time on Monday morning, right?
Yeah.
So I've been scheduling it on Thursdays, but maybe I need to change it to Mondays. But I think
there's something, let me tell you, Gina, there is something right after the kids go to school and your husband leaves for work, when you have a quiet house. It doesn't matter if the house is messy, if the house is clean, but when that house is quiet and it's like, ooh.
It's magical.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, oh, I could sit back and nobody's calling me. And even just for 5 minutes, it's amazing. It really is. Like, I just sit there for a minute. I'm like,
I agree.
Just breathe it all in.
Would you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I am an introvert.
So am I. So I'm the kind of person, this is how I know I'm an introvert, is that I like to be around people, but after a while, it sucks the energy out of me. So for me to recharge, I have to have time by myself. Even before my husband and I got married, I had an apartment to myself for, gosh, I want to say 4 years. I have to think back. But I love being by myself.
Oh, yeah.
I could have it like that all the time. I'm fine with other people that want to be that, you know, by themselves. But having like those couple hours built into your week, it is fantastic. And I know for moms who are watching this who have small children still at home, it's really hard to do. And so what I would do for myself is, as hard as it was, I'd get up early before the rest of the house. And it was a struggle with my second child, though, because like this morning he was up at 5:45.
Right.
I got to get up at 5 a.m. if I need that quiet time, you know? So it's hard, especially when you have small kids, but the light at the end of the tunnel is when they start to go to preschool or elementary school. And now you have like a full, amount of hours. And I love my kids, but that time really, it makes me a better mom. I can feed myself, and then when I pick them up, I am happy as can be. So anyways, got off on a tangent there. A lot of time, you got to make me time, and it's important for people to hear that. All right. So let's talk about a little bit about the importance of networking, because most of your business is local, right? So you have to meet people, but give us some tips on networking and meeting people online and in person.
My online networking, I just engage in groups. I answer questions.
Like Facebook groups? Are you doing LinkedIn groups?
Both.
Okay.
I just answer the questions. People ask, and I just answer. I'm never salesy. And because I know where my niche lies, if someone needs a referral for a photographer, I only do about 24 family sessions a year. Okay. And if there happens to be a newborn in the family, I'm going to photograph it. I don't specialize in newborn photography.
Right.
But so if somebody needs a family portrait, a family session done, I always will refer another photographer out. So when I engage in these groups, I don't ever sit here and say, oh, you should, hire me, because I know that's not always the best work for me. And people like that. If you're looking for something to wear, mention, offer advice. It's not always about saying, well, my product is the best product.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways that I network online. Just, hi, how is everyone? Post some information about a happening in your neighborhood or in your community, and share information. And people, once you're active enough, people learn to trust you, and they'll say, oh yeah, that Wanda person is a photographer. Have you checked out her headshots? Things like that. In-person networking, it's kind of the same way. I just, hi, how are you? This is what I do. I rarely hand out business cards because I don't like getting them. Yeah. So, because they go in a shoebox.
Yeah.
They go in a shoebox. But when people give them to me, I always try to check out the attendee list and connect with people beforehand. Mm-hmm. And because I don't take business cards, and I don't like and I don't like receiving them. But you will always find an attendee list. So I always connect with people beforehand, say, hi, I'm looking forward to seeing you tonight or at next week's event, and then follow up with those people because the sent email is in my folder. Follow up with them later on as well and say, hey, let's have coffee. It was great seeing you last week at such and such event.
That's great. That is a great tip, to look at who's going to the event, connect with them on LinkedIn, possibly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with LinkedIn, I mean, you just don't even need a business card anymore. Like, I don't use business cards. A business card is my website.
Right.
And if your website is easy enough to remember, which it should be, and not really, really long, like people, when I say go to yourmorethanmom.com, usually they remember what that is. Or I take it upon myself to email them and say, thank you. It was so great talking to you today. Here's a link to my website.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Sorry, I just interrupted you. So
no, that's okay. No,
we're
that's
talking
fine.
about just like in person. And too, what I like is that you're talking about just getting to know people and not outright selling to them. What I heard you saying was just provide value to them. If you know that you are not the expert in that field or that particular type of photography or whatever it is, for those of you who are listening, refer them to someone else. And that just right there builds trust. It does, because I mean, you could go the other direction and say, oh, well, I can do it, but maybe you wouldn't do the best job. And at the end of the day, like, they might not even like what you do. So might as well send them to someone else. They're someone else's target audience, ideal client, but still keep that relationship going. You never know where it could lead.
Right. So. And I think it's also in the way you word it, because I'm sorry, I'm a headshot photographer, but Jane Doe it specializes in newborns in your area. So now they have what you do, and they'll remember that.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right. let's talk a little bit about your transition from working to being a stay-at-home mom, because you were working for a very long time, like you said, since you were 15. So how did that go when you lost, when you lost your job, and, what was the one thing that you struggled with the most?
My loss of structure.
Okay.
When you have somebody paying you to come into work every day at 9 and leave at 5 and take lunch at 12, and that's ripped away from you, like, okay, we're taking it back. Now you can go work for someone else, but until then you have all of this free time. It's like, what do you do? And I'm not the type of person that can say, I'm going to sleep in now. I'm going to just do whatever I want to do. Oh, wow, let's just go on vacation. No, I struggled with that loss of structure.
Yeah.
I enrolled in school because I knew, my husband and I had discussed our plan, but I had no idea. Classes didn't start until 10 o'clock. So someone like myself who had 2 kids, and I'm used to getting up at 5 or 5:30 to have all of this time, I'm like, okay, what do I do? What? I had no idea. I was lost. And that, I didn't have any identity crisis. I just needed to know how to reframe my life time-wise. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was the biggest thing. And it took a really long time for me to get back on track with that. And now, I'm coming into the winter months, and that depressed me. So I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm going to eat, and now I'm going to sit back and drink. And, I'm like, oh, this is not good.
No,
So my best friend was the one who told me, it's not hard to regret, but it took her 2 years to tell me this. Just put structure back into your life. Like, right. Okay, you were used to 9 to 5, create your own 9 to 5. And I don't know where I would be without her, because she said, this is what you're used to, create it. Do 2 hours of editing, do 2 hours of networking, of online networking, go to lunch at your set time, do 2 hours of housework. And I said, oh, okay. And I don't know why that was so hard for me to grasp, but I lost my job. My life was lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of shifted into that mode, and it really has helped my business, saying, okay, I'm going to stay on track and do this.
Oh, definitely.
Exception of Monday Wanda time. Every day I do that. And it does help, saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do today.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, I went through the same thing. I had lost my job. I got laid off, and it was like, what now? And I just felt like I still needed, like, I felt like I have skills, I have knowledge, I have gifts, talents that I still need to use, but where am I going to use them? Without using these things, I feel like there's a hole, Right. And so immediately once I had lost my job, I saw that my pastor had a big need just for some administrative help. Right. And so I made a schedule where every Tuesday and Thursday I went into his office, and there was a desk there for me, and I just started helping him out and using my gifts and talents there. I did administration work. I also did a lot of graphic design, so I was able to take those skills that I used, in the architecture world. I redid like brochures and graphics. I learned how to do video editing, like just from that experience, and I did that for over a year. Even after my daughter was born, I think from the time she was 6 weeks old, I started taking her in there, and we did it for almost a year, just because I needed to have that structure, and I needed to be doing something where I was still using my gifts, my talents. So I can definitely relate to that. Why don't we end by you just giving us 3 to 4 tips on, if someone is watching this right now and you feel the same way, like the loss of structure, what are some tips on how to put more structure into your schedule now that you have all this time and you thrive on structure? You need it.
Set a schedule up and work, and make sure your family knows that, because once you have all of this free time, it can become very overwhelming to sit here and say, oh, I have laundry and groceries and bills, and I want to spend time with my kids. Dedicate time to your task, and take some time for yourself. So let your husband know, your family know as well, that this is what your schedule is. Network, get out with adults, because your home office, even if it's a little closet in your living room, can get very lonely. So you need to meet with adults and eat lunch, because it's really easy to work through lunch, especially if we're doing something that we love. Like, there have been days that I will sit here for 8 hours and I'm running out because my alarm is on my phone is going off to pick up my kids. I'm like, oh geez, I didn't eat. So take care of yourself, just eat, network, meet with people, and schedule your own me time.
All right, that sounds good. So just to review, here's, you also mentioned before when we talked to know your peak energy hours.
Yes. Mine are in the morning. So once I drop off the kids, that's when I get all of my work done, like my edits. Because if not, I will sit here for hours in the afternoon. So if you're a morning person, work best in the morning.
Okay, so know your peak energy hours and schedule your work during that time. Yes. Structure your time. Let your family know when that time is. Very important that they know and kind of agree, okay, that's your structure. I'm going to work around that. We're going to work it in somehow. Take a lunch break. Yeah, I tell my clients, so I work with a lot of people who, have health and fitness goals. They want to get healthy, and a lot of them they skip meals. So what I tell them is to actually put in their phone a reminder that dings when they need to eat.
Right.
And sometimes I have to do that too, because I love my work and I'll get so busy that I'll forget to eat. So it's not good. And then, last you said network and socialize with friends and people. It's good to get out there, even if it's just meeting a friend for lunch once a week, having some adult conversation. It's not just about the kids, or go out there and network, and find yourself some new clients and new people to connect with.
Correct.
So that's great. Thank you so much, Wanda. I think there is so much here that people are going to be able to relate to. I love the tips that you gave about networking, and especially LinkedIn and Facebook groups. Go find groups to join with similar interests. If people don't know how to network, that's what I tell people to do. Don't join groups just with the idea of making a sale or networking, but join a group with people where you're generally interested in the topic, and then take part in those discussions. And then, hey, once you get to know someone a little bit, friend them on Facebook. You've already gained some trust with them. Same thing, connect through LinkedIn, and then take it from there.
Correct.
I think that's a great tip, and a lot of people overlook that. All right, Wanda, well, let's see. Can you tell us, just so we can end here, if we want to get in contact with you, or what's your website link?
www.madcrisimages.com. It's MADCRIS images.com.
Okay, great. And do you have a Facebook page?
Yep, same thing. Everything, I'm all completely branded as MadCris Images.
Okay, so facebook.com/MadCris Images, and your MadCris Images on Instagram too.
Yes.
Correct? All right. Well, thank you so much, Wanda. Thank you for talking to me today.
Thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure getting to know another person, and I love that we can share our knowledge with others and just talk to different people that have different strengths.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great day.
You as well. Bye.